I want to give you a little background about the story that we're discussing here. Because YouTube would not let us post it. It's a 60 minutes piece about price gouging from defense contractors. I would encourage you to check it out for yourself. I'll post a link in the description. It gives you some clues about the way government leaders think about intervening in free markets and the results of those interventions. Once again, we right back here, Intuitive Social Club introduction for people who don't know. We had these conversations, discussions about important things, but it's an old story now, but it blows my mind. And you haven't seen this before, right?
I haven't seen it yet.
No. All right, cool. So I'm gonna try to stop it periodically, just because I don't want to get any strikes or anything, or just also to discuss. It's not much to discuss yet. They're just getting into the story, but that just gives you an idea.
1,000% increase. Could be 300, could be 10,000. Who knows? It's somewhere in between there.
Right. Really, we talking about 3,000. 3,000. I mean, and some people might think that's not funny. That's our money. And to me, I would laugh and say, this is what you signed up for.
That's what a joke is. Part of this. Look at this. This is absurd.
Yes.
This shouldn't be happening.
Right. And so we'll get more understanding as we go on. I think we might have to just discuss that real quick, because the whole idea of it's almost a play on emotion in a sense. Oh man, you held this Marine from getting bullets in their gun. Man, you buying products from a company. I don't understand that argument, right?
Like, right. This is my question. It was like, how do you reason that through? Like, you are skipping so many steps that I just want there to be some level of clarity on that. That's one of those,
not
there is
even close.
mismanagement of funds. Sure. But to say that, hey, we spent funds over here, so that limited us on how much funds we could spend over here. I'm like, there were constraints on that. Did the people who were supposed to allocate a minimum amount of money to buy bullets, did that not happen? Because that's a different problem. It's like, well, you shouldn't waste money. You shouldn't waste money. But have we wasted so much money that we don't have protection? Did we actively keep people from getting the tools or resources they need to do their job? Because that's a better argument. I want to hear someone say that argument instead of just, hey, you wasted money over here and now we're all vulnerable, or the people we're sending out are all going to possibly die. I mean, come on. I mean, maybe, but there is a better way to say it.
Right. And his argument felt more like, hey man, I wish all this stuff would work the way I would like it to work. Therefore, it was a play on emotion in a sense. Like you're leaving this Marine out here with no bullets. Bring down your pricing and we'll get into it. It's just, like you said, to me, the reasoning just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all, but we'll see. So we see where this is going, I think, a little bit. The argument is you don't deserve that much profit, right? And that's flawed reasoning, because now you're saying we would be okay if you made this much. It's unconscionable for you to make more than this much. And that's just ridiculous.
Right. But that's not how value works. We trade anyway, that's not how value works. Price is very different than value. You need to be very clear on that. Price is what we're paying and value is what we're getting.
And you're not running the company, so you don't get to tell them how much profit. If it's contractual, that's one thing. But on the other side, it's just that.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that you can do that?
For negotiation. If you're bad at price, if you don't like the prices, negotiate more effectively. You are the entire U.S. government. You probably could try just a little bit. I have very little feelings of sadness for the government. Like, oh, we pay too much. Like, no, I pay too much. You don't have money. And you paid my money. I pay too much now because of your incompetence.
Right.
Learn how to negotiate more effectively, please.
Exactly.
For the entire government. Just say no. You can do that.
But we'll see how they've crippled themselves
Right.
from being able to do that. So we continue on, I guess, on that part. The thing that he's pretending like these aren't businesses.
Right.
And I can't, and he's clearly a person who was in a position, a high rank for what he did. How can you not understand that dynamic?
I don't think he's a businessman. I think that part has been, I think he has skipped all that evidence. I think he is instead viewing this in a very different way. Different, I mean, and not in a
Idealistic way?
he's looking at it in a very idealistic way, but he is putting his own standard onto what he would like to happen, and it's not helpful in the sense of saying that's not how economic pressures work. Businesses have to make money to exist, but they also have to have a significant enough margin to have the R&D to do the next thing. We want this company to do more things, and they're like, hey, I'm going to have to charge you a crazy amount over here so that I can invest in a crazy amount over there. Like all I'm saying is that he is not considering economic pressures at all.
No.
He's not considering what the company is for. And he's not considering the fact that there are certain companies that thrive and win based off of their research and development. And the more money they can funnel toward that, the more they stay ahead of the other companies and whatever else we need. And if our government's goal is to have the most up-to-date and cutting-edge technology, then they'd have to invest in the most cutting-edge technology, invest in that technology to have those as product or services. That being said, regardless, it still comes back down to the price you negotiate. They're like, there are other people to do this. I'm like, there are a lot of other people to do this. There's just, you just have to set the criteria of what you are willing to accept and where you're willing to get it from. Because while we have the most up-to-date weapons and the biggest military in the world, it's not that no other place has made any headway in research and development. I'm like, new weapons come out all the time. There are lots of things that we could buy. There are lots of things we could invest our money in. It pays to know what those things are and to outbid everybody else. And that will raise the price, because that's how price works.
Mm-hmm.
To ignore all the economic pressures and still demand almost at cost product is missing the bigger picture.
And to me, being in finance, I do know that. But the miss is a small basic. It's really the basic things that's the miss for me.
Right.
You don't work. You're a negotiator. Your job is to negotiate, right? And you didn't negotiate well somehow. So
that's not anybody else's fault. Nobody else can point a finger. Like, why is this happening? This was you. This was your whole job.
Yeah.
What do you mean why?
Yeah. And then on the other side, it's like you came from private sector, so you know how this works. That's probably how you knew that they were getting, quote unquote, taken advantage of.
Like, this doesn't cost as much for other people, and it may not. It may not.
Right. But it's just the problem is on the flawed logic. And this is the same issue when we talk about capitalism all around the board. Oh man, these people are getting all of these profits. Why are you talking about their profits?
Right.
That's the flaw.
Argument.
That's not even part of the. And I know that's what people want it to be. It's that, they're price gouging. They're charging us this for this thing. That's what a market is for, right? The market pressures, when you let those market pressures work in your favor, they're not going to work in your favor too. Well, they could work to your advantage to a large extent, but the larger you are, the bigger customer you are, the smaller group of producers you're working with. Yeah, the pressures aren't as strong in certain markets. It's just smaller market, more or less, right? So, but once again, I think we got to push on because there's a little bit more to the story. So now I would hope that people see this is what frustrates me about this story, because everything he's just said, the top person in the government, contract negotiator, everything he just said was wrong. Everything he just said. basically we trusted the businesses to take care of us. Look what capitalism does. But they just skip over the most important part, that little part. They almost, if it wasn't for the story itself to say, hey, 51 small government contractors combined into, what was it, 5 or 6?
Yeah, they were forced by law. By law, they interfered in the market. We're like, there's too many of y'all. This is too hard to keep track. We're just gonna outlaw stuff, and everybody can just come to us in like these 4 or 5 groups. That's fine. That's enough. That's enough people. And then all of a sudden they're like, I don't like these prices. The prices seem like they've changed. And then everyone who would argue for the prices, who actually knew who were their subject matter experts that they were using to actually do all the jobs, they're like, we're just gonna fire all these people too. All these people can go home.
We're going to let the companies handle this. We're going to put the responsibility on the people who are getting profits. Right. We're letting them make sure that they don't get too much profit.
Right. We're going to abdicate our entire responsibility of actively thinking critically about this and just put it on the person whose job it is to get money and be like, hey, I want you to get money, but just enough. Don't do too much. But we're also not going to check. And also the people who were going to talk to you about this are gone. So you know how that goes. And then there's a prize when they're like, there may be a problem here.
Because Josh, the issue, and for anybody who sees this, the issue is so clear. It's almost like they believe in capitalism like it's magic. They don't understand the principles of it. They don't understand. We want these contractors. We love producers. We want more producers because they have to compete with each other. And that's going to put a downward force on the price. But for them, they think this was the way that they characterized. This was the age of downsizing and getting government out of business. Look what happened to it. It's the whole put your stick in the bicycle wheel, fall on the ground and say, oh man, look what capitalism did.
And right? Look at this bike. This is a bad bike. It won't work.
It's ridiculous, man. You did it. They just laid it out exactly how they don't understand what capitalism is, and then they did all the wrong stuff.
Capitalism is a trading value for value, but it all depends on a relationship. And they just said they advocated their entire part of the relationship. They're like, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter who we are. I took away our people and I got rid of them. So this should be fine now. So now we only have a relationship with these 5 or 6 people, and everyone on our side who wasn't going to talk to you is no longer going to talk to you. So now the relationship is better. The relationship is good, right?
And I bet you
the relationship work at all. You've taken everything out of this. This is not capitalism anymore. You're now in this a strange mixed economy world where just you say things, but like nothing actually gets done. Anyway, there's no one there to critically think. So no critical thinking happened. And I don't think that's a question of like, well, you never know. It's like, no, you actively failed here. You actively failed. You abdicated your responsibility.
So 2 things, and I'm going to try to get to what you just said after that. The first part is I'm sure that the people that were leading the big 5 or big 6 were like, oh, no, we got this. We got you. This is going to be perfect. This is amazing. This is an amazing relationship. And they fell for that. And then the last piece, and I might not even be able to pull it. Oh, man, I just can't even remember what you just said at the end. It just blows my mind a little bit that these are the top people that we have. They don't understand how basic capitalist principles work.
No, but this shows that there are people in high positions who have not experienced a significant amount of business knowledge. Like business is not their level of experience. They don't have the business experience or business expertise to be making these decisions, but they made laws about business and all of a sudden it did not work out well.
I think that's scary.
Yeah, because it's happening right now too. Like it's not just, well, this was in the past, it will never happen again. No, the whole point of this is showing us that it's happening right now.
the fact that the story is being told the way it's being told also indicates that it's going to continue to happen.
Right.
Because they've gotten it wrong, and they're explaining it wrong. They're explaining it and focusing on them getting it wrong. Not focusing on them getting it wrong, focusing on how it's capitalism's fault.
Right.
To me, this is one of those things where managers, yes. Oh, this is what you were saying. Managers, yes. Leaders, no. And you were saying that there wasn't a lot of critical thinking happening here. And I think that may not be right. I think there may be some critical thinking. It's just not the level of critical thinking that we need from leaders.
There could be critical thinking. I don't think these people thought critically about cause and effect. And I think they did not take that time to do that research to figure out what it was that they were trying to achieve or what it would take to get there. That to me is the only way you could skip over these glaringly obvious points and be like, yes, I want a relationship but without people in it. I want to negotiate but like without negotiators. I want good prices, but I don't want to talk about price at all during this whole discussion. I'm like, oh, then we're not doing it. I want capitalism, but I want to interfere with it all the time with laws and like legal regulation over here. Like, I don't think we're talking about free markets. I don't think we're talking about negotiation, and I don't think we're talking about just pricing at all. Like we are missing all the criteria for this.
Yeah,
all of those things we're missing. What possible things could you be thinking about at this point? Like you don't have data.
I agree with you, right? But so logic to me is one of those things that's difficult for some people because it's almost like logic. The logical conclusion is not, they can't find it until they get the actual data point. I guess that's going to substantiate it. That's going to concretize it, substantiate it, make it objective.
Right.
But don't you have an idea, a small idea? I think the whole move of getting rid of, it's going to sound stupid, the whole move of getting rid of the watchdogs was the critical thinking piece. Because they were like, hey, watch, these companies, they're going to combine and they're going to lower the price for us. We can save money if we get rid of these people and we get these people to consolidate. See, that was our critical thinking moment. You see, we
did it.
That's what I mean. It's bad logic, but I think that they thought that they were doing something really intelligent at that time.
Right. I believe you. That is usually how that works. They're like, this is our reasoning. Our reasoning is sound. It costs money to hire people. We will stop doing that. It costs money to go back and forth with all these different. It's so hard to pick through all these options. We'll get rid of the options.
Yeah.
Now everything is simplified, streamlined. Everything looks better in a line.
Yep.
Well, I hear you. That is one way to look at it. You have a lot of precedent to say that's not true, but we're not going to look at precedent and just say, what would happen if we tried it differently? I get it. This is different. No, but it's different.
Man. Yeah, man. Let's see what they have to say next. So I think we talked about this a little bit about interest last week. We talked about insurance companies. And I don't understand whoever, once again, these are high ups in our government, military, whoever told them that the interests of companies and the interest of government had anything to do with each other.
Right? How do you think they ever aligned? They're like, these people that we didn't hire and don't usually have any control over didn't work in our interests. I'm like, well, no, they worked in their interests,
Exactly.
right? They were supposed to do. That's
right.
Them.
That's what they got hired for. That's how they
got hired by somebody else to do something else, and they did that job really well. But you're talking about them over here as if they were hired by the government and didn't do the government job very well. I'm like, no, that was what the government people were for, right? Those people you fired, all those people in the jobs that like were negotiating, that was their job to do this. The thing they were doing.
Right.
So no.
Oh, man. I just had to keep pointing it out that these are the higher ups. These are our best of the best, supposedly.
Well, supposedly. These are the people who won the popularity contest. And this is what they decided. But I
Yeah.
just find it to be, they made this decision and their results speak for themselves, but these people still have their jobs. And so the accountability piece, this is where the managers can think critically. Hey, managers, you were supposed to be over these higher ups and be like, hey guys, you made this decision about this whole issue with cutting costs. How are those costs looking? Oh, worse now? Worse now. Oh, we're doing much worse than we've ever done before.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if it's related to the decisions we made. Huh. Because as a manager, that's what they should get paid for, is to check on to see how well the decisions that they made led to the outcome that they said they desired.
See, but that almost opens another can of worms, because that piece is missing in government work. That accountability, like, because there is no profit, there is no, hey, you made this decision that lost us money multiple times, you're fired. Right. At best, maybe you could say, you need to go to another department, or you get a demotion. But there's no, hey, you've lost us all our jobs. There's no moment like that in government.
No, there's also no incentive to change. There's no incentive to do a good job. And when they don't, you're like, well, maybe they could have looked at that. I'm like, but that will require a different system than the one we currently have. We do not have a system that currently gives incentives to people managing funds well. That's not a business problem or a capitalism problem or a freedom problem. Like, you made a bad system. You made a bad system, and now we have a bad result. We don't need to point fingers at anybody else except for the people who are the responsible parties. It is their job to run the system effectively. They are clearly doing it in a way that is now worse than it used to be.
True. And I throw this other part in here because a friend of mine wrote this book. I think it's called The Municipality. Man, I can't remember what the name of it is. I'll find the name. But it's about municipalities and their financial issues. And his point is that, man, these people, they really want to do a good job. They really want to. Like, their heart is in the right place. But I don't care about their heart. Like, I need them to be smarter. And I think maybe that's I need you to understand logic and governing principles. You know? And maybe you are smart, but to me, if you don't understand basic forces, and this was clearly a bad decision. This was nothing that they're saying gave you any hint that something good was going to come out of it cost-wise for the government. Right?
It could not have done that way. They set up a system that only was going to fail because they ignored all the things that went into the system. Exactly.
So I think the name of the book is called The Municipality Crisis, but I have to look for it. But yeah, Mark Moses, he started this one. Cool.
Oh yeah, I thought the book was, you're right, the Municipal Financial Crisis.
That's it.
A Framework for Everything by Mark Moses.
Very, very good book. He goes through all, because he worked in the municipalities and financial director in municipalities, and he just details all of the internal issues. What reminded me of it is the idea of people trying to hold on to their budgets at the end of the year. They're not really contributing to, I guess you're not really revenue generating so much, but they're not contributing to savings or anything that you can point to as an objective good for the government. But if you let go of your budget, you don't get that same budget next year. And some people, the way that they see that their job is how much budget can they maintain. And I don't want to mess up all of it.
Financial incentives exist. Finances are the, if you budget them more, finances like, oh, I have to just get budgeted more money and you'll take it away if I don't spend it? Yeah. Well, I'm going to spend it. That's not a question. Finances are, I come to work for money. You will give me more of the money if I spend it. Well, I will make sure I spend all of the money. That's not a question.
Yeah. So, and that's it's that way in regular business too, but at the same time, they have actual numbers that they have to adhere to.
There are criteria they have to meet, and someone actively oversees it to make sure they meet this.
Exactly. And people can lose their jobs if they don't meet these standards, metrics, criteria, benchmarks,
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
I mean, at this point, they're just repeating themselves. It's just like, I don't like these prices. I don't like them. They're really high, and I don't like these prices. You don't have to put these prices this high. They can make them prices differently. You know what would be really great to do that? Like the negotiators you fired. You know what would be great? They might be able to help with making sure these prices don't randomly overwhelm you. You know what would also be great? If you randomly didn't insert yourself into this business to kick out all the competition that were driving the prices lower. If you could just take the chains off, maybe it might get better again. Throwing out there, an idea.
I mean,
jump higher. If you put this metal cinder block right now, just put it down for a second. See how it feels.
At the risk of repeating, these are our best of our best.
Our best and brightest, right here.
And
We
they
chose
did
them.
everything wrong.
Chose
Everything.
them. Yep.
They did everything wrong. The whole idea of the plane being $900 billion over budget, and you, I don't think it was crime, but you didn't negotiate to own the data, the underlying data associated with the plane.
Right. But
That's
also,
your
like,
job.
that is an extra thing. To do that required negotiators. But number two, like, if you're gonna get a bunch of the most cutting edge technology in the world, you're like, hey, I need the data so I can fix it. I'm like, you aren't gonna be able to fix it, dog. Like, that's not gonna be part of the thing. Unless you hire the people who built this plane, there is no fixing it. It's send it back to the factory whence it came, and they will give you a new one. All right, it's not. There are a lot of things people wish could happen, but I don't know how that's going to happen.
True, and I guess for me, the last little section that we watched, the most sensible thing that came out that was said was the guy Howley in front of Congress, like when she asked him, "Could you sell this for less and still make a reasonable?" First of all, what is a reasonable profit? I don't know what that is. And then, second of all, his response is the response that you're supposed to have.
Yeah,
that's not really the question here.
We're not going to negotiate against ourselves. So I'm just going to. Are you trying to negotiate with me now? You fired the whole group. So I'm not going to do it now. I've already sold you the product. All sales are final. What are we doing here?
Oh my gosh. And this is why I'll take the position that business people don't need government people to tell them what to do. They're much smarter than the government people in business.
Right.
And
they are the subject matter experts. Let them do it.
It's crazy, man. So I think it's just a couple more minutes and then this is over. That is concerning.
It is.
That's concerning because no, it's not capitalism. No. And when you say monopoly, it's not an organic monopoly. It's a government created monopoly.
Oh, there it is. What they did in it before. It's like when they combined all the railroads. That's when they combined all the stuff and made utilities monopolies. That's like when they combined it and they made all the phone companies monopolies. They're like, what is going on with the prices? You did this. You did it again.
But I guess it was. What was the last thing? Because he's like, Saad is like, if you're okay with letting these people do this and they know that you're not going to stand up for you, what are you going to? Are you getting ready to nationalize these companies? What are you?
That is a scary thought. People do sometimes the thing they jump right to.
But what is he?
The government did such a bad job. The one thing we need to do is give more power to the government. Like, no. If we don't double down on the bad problem, the one thing we shouldn't do.
But what else could he be threatening though? Like,
I hear you. That is usually they mean further legislation to steal more money from the companies. Let's impose greater fines, taxes, tariffs, whatever. They implement more BS that actively steals from the company.
But I think what we can see is that in their attempt to steal from the company is like, well, we're smarter than you and we're going to dodge this or pass these costs back to you and the taxpayers somehow, some way. And I think the average person sees this and is like, well, they tried to do the right thing. No, this is bad. the people, and I guess the analysts at the end, they have an idea, and they probably didn't have a voice to speak out. But I think what you got here is politics getting in the way of business level minded people who have some inkling of what business is like, what market forces are like. But no, they were like, no, they just got rid of us. Like some politician was like, yeah, that sounds, I don't know. Somebody had to bring it to him, that I guess that idea. Some other financial analyst or whatever.
You know lobbyists were involved. And lobbyists went to these people and were like, hey, there's gonna be a bill we happen to write that you should just go ahead and let pass. And when they say, hey, should we keep funding this line item or not, or should we just draw a line through it? You should vote to put a line through it. Here is money, please and thank you.
Okay, I can see that. In my mind, I'm envisioning the company saying, hey, yeah, we'll just tell them to get rid of these people, and then we'll just all get together and we can drop these prices, and they're going to go for it.
There were people involved in the before all this happened in the 80s who were running companies successfully and were happy, and there were people underneath them who were like, hey, you know what would be great if our companies didn't exist, but only like 5 of them did, and like some of us I know happened to be in control of those 5, and then like if they just got rid of let's get ahead of this and have a seat at the table, and let's go ahead and make sure that when we pass this bill, we don't allow any other negotiators in the government to be there. They can just like no longer be part of this thing. You can get rid of our company and combine us all into 5, but like you have to get rid of your negotiators, and then we'll all just work in good faith from here on out. I mean, not with me. I won't be here. I'm taking my $1 million to an island. But like everybody else, they'll work with you in good faith. Maybe. We'll see.
Man, that's troubling, man.
Yes.
Once again, it sounds stupid because I'm saying the same thing over and over again. But these are our best of our, supposedly, the best of our best. And these are who America trusts. These are the ideas. Worse than who they are. These are the ideas that we trust. Like somebody got somebody on board with this stuff.
Right. This went through multiple committees. Multiple people were like, yeah, do this. This thing that's guaranteed not to work. This is the thing I want. I vote for this. Nothing else. Just this.
I feel like a regular person has better common sense than this.
I know a lot of regular people who do not understand trading or economics or just general cause and effect. If someone was promised a short-term gain and the money was good enough, they would ignore a lot of long-term effects. And I think that is possibly what happened. I will say that nicely.
Wow. I'm thinking that even like a primitive type of fear response of you not having control of, I guess maybe. I think that when you make it so complex where people don't really grasp, we would desire more producers and let them compete with each other. That's better for us. Like a lot of people don't understand that, I don't think.
No.
I think that's similar to the insurance universal basic health care type of conversation was like, no, if we just pool our money together, everything could just be cheaper and everything would be better like all these other countries. And it's so it's fundamentally flawed. It's so
fundamentally flawed. It operates on a ridiculous, unverifiable, irrational basis. And I think that is the problem, is that reason was not considered. There was no data harmed in the making of this opinion. It just came out of there. And we're like, you know what? These people, there are too many of them. We're going to get rid of them. And that's going to work out great. And therefore, if we don't have as many of them, we don't have to have people negotiate with them. It'll be fine. But they didn't.
They did both.
They did both. Which is crazy. And then the people who were like, all our jobs are going away. That's terrible. That's ridiculous. But what's the thing I could do to make this work out for me? Let's be real cool for like 2 or 3 years, and then let's stick around, and then let's just jack up prices high as we feel like doing, because everybody who made that decision is gone, Everybody who used to be here to oversee us is gone, and we don't have any competition anymore. Everybody sound good? Sound good now? Yes, we are the market. We are the only market force. Let's just push it up. Just push it up.
This is the thing. This is why people argue about cronyism. Because why wouldn't these people be buddies? You know, they jump in sides. Oh, private sector, public sector, private sector. Oh, now I know all the ins and outs of what they're going to do in Congress. Let me go work for you, and I'm gonna make 6 figures here, and blah blah blah. The worst part about the whole thing is that you see the logic, you see the ideas. These are all wrong. For anybody who doesn't know, these all put them. I want to say 99.9% of the things that they did and the ideas that they used were wrong and bad ideas, right? The reasoning when people even ask questions shows you that they have no clue. This is why I kind of like one of my arguments about Congress, and I'm always seeing somebody, Mark Zuckerberg or John Dorsey or whatever his name, these people in front of Congress, and Congress are asking these dumb questions. What kind of question is, could you sell this for less and make a reasonable profit? That question in itself means we have bad leaders.
Right. Yes. Now, I'll take that. That means we have bad leaders. That means the person asking this question is not educated. That means this person does not know anything about business or about the market or about. You should not go to the negotiating table and just say, "Hey, you want to give it to me for less money? Just want to not do it? Could you just not make money on this? And wouldn't that be reasonable to you?" Like,
crazy.
It's not even like a question we answer. You have to bring something to the table, right? I'm not coming here to just overturn the table and give my company away. That's not what I use to feed my family, right? Your good wishes and feelings aren't going to be enough to buy bread. Like, I hear you, though. It's happened in different worlds, but not in my world that I live in. I'm charging you money so that we can trade value for value, and then I'm going to go home. And if you don't understand anything about that, then I don't think you need to ask me that question.
It's funny because I know it's a joke. I get it, right? But I'm laughing on one side, but on the other side, I'm thinking about the ramifications of this in real life. Like, right. It's funny to me, yes, right now. But the idea that you would openly ask these questions shows that you don't understand what's happening here.
Thank you.
You don't understand so that means that there is no possibility, there is no future of goodness. There can't be, because you don't even understand what's at the root of goodness. You
don't understand the problem. This is all just, you're in the middle of it now. Just like, could problems just not exist? Could they just not be here?
That means it's going to keep happening. That's the point. When you don't understand the problem, and there already is a problem, that means that it's going to continue to happen. It's not depressing for me, because I'm not going to get depressed about this, but
it's frustrating.
It's frustrating, but I want to say it needs to be exposed, but I don't think that's what it is, because I don't know. I don't think that's what it is. I think there needs to be a push for better leaders. That's my goal, right? I want better leaders. I push for better leaders, because this is pathetic. That is bad.
We need to have higher standards for performance. This is not acceptable. It's like, well, we just can see what happened. We have seen what happens for almost 40 years now. They've done a bad job. We only needed 1 or 2 years to see how well they did, but they've done a bad job for decades. It's worthwhile to be like, hey, stop doing a bad job, or stop working here.
Yes, you are correct. But then if I take a step back and look at the bigger picture, why do you all keep bringing people to testify in front of Congress for running their businesses? Like, It's
all marketing, y'all. It's all just, anyway.
It's phony. It's phony.
Very inauthentic. But that is you can clearly see that since it is phony, there must be a different goal. They definitely don't want the problem to be fixed. They clearly want. They don't want the problem that they're bringing these companies in there to be fixed. They want the American populace to see, hey, look, this is me doing something. I'm a strong leader. Vote for me. Like most people aren't looking through the history of like, why do we have this problem? Since you don't know, let me go find out what it is so I can be educated. Most people aren't doing that, and since they aren't doing that, and they don't understand most economics in general, that it makes it very easy for the politicians to parade business people in front of them and then say, look at me, I'm standing up for the little guy by standing against this person who has more things than you do. And that is enough to, oh, yeah, this is a good person.
Grievance.
See, they stood up to power. Like the politician was the one in power. There was no standing up. They are the rich person in this scenario. They are the multimillionaire talking down to the millionaire. What are you talking about? Anyway, whatever. That's just reason. Like this is good marketing. It continues to work. People continue to see politicians, quote unquote, standing up to these companies, and then they can continue to associate those politicians with people that they like, and those people keep getting voted in, and they're gonna like, oh, we should do it again. This is the game we play. But I just think it's a terrible game, and we have enough evidence to be very clear. Like, this is wrong, meaning we have evidence to prove this is wrong. We don't have to make this everyone has an opinion. I mean, yes, opinions exist, but what they're doing is not functionally fixing a problem. We know it's not doing that. We still have the problem. So the last time I did that, you remember, the last time I did this was just like a month ago. We still have the problem.
So here's my question to you, because you said that they don't want answers. Do you truly believe that they don't want answers, or it's just that they have no clue how to get answers?
I have a hard time believing that they want answers, because there's more than one business person in America, and there's more than one lobbyist and or consultant or think tank in DC, let alone the world. And so you could reach out at any point in time and be like, hey, is this working? Oh, it's not working? Why is it not working? Like there are at least 500 companies in the S&P that can tell them how to do business well enough to get there.
But hold up. I'm going to push
so much for me. I'm like, no.
I understand that piece, but what most people don't grasp, and maybe even business people who change sides, businesses are fundamentally different than governments. Yes. They are not doing the same things. And I think some people think that going from business is going to government. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna just run the government like I would run business.
Right.
No, that's you're not doing the same thing. That's not your job.
We need different goals now. It's a very, very, very different.
I don't think people really grasp the difference. If you're trying to generate revenue in the government, it's not really a good thing. It's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
You could be talking about cutting costs and savings. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I'm pretty sure, hey, you can cut costs. You can get rid of a lot of these useless jobs. There you go. Cut costs are cut. But to your point, it's like, they believe in the idea. Oh man. They believe that this thing is a good thing. To do more collectively, to do more centrally is a good thing. They fundamentally just don't understand. Hey, we're out here doing stuff. This is our job. This is, I live here. I have an interest in my surroundings. Put me on the hook for it. That's what I'm here to do. That's where my life is. That's how I make a life. That's how I obtain meaning. The more I outsource my judgment and choices to government, the less I'm working that muscle, the more the money goes into ether. I don't know where it goes. It just goes somewhere, and then they allocate it here and they allocate it there, and then they take out debt on my behalf or child's behalf or whatever you want to call it. It's not. Yeah, I don't think I can add anything else, because it's so fundamentally flawed.
It's so fundamentally flawed. Like people are actively ignoring cause and effect, and because of that, they get all these issues, and they just don't know where they come from. But they don't not interested in where they came from. Like there's this fundamental lie of socialism, and like they go back to the idea that ever since there was quote unquote enough money to solve a lot of people's basic issues. And they're like, well, there are millionaires in the world, therefore there's enough money somewhere to solve all our problems. Therefore, the only issue now is how are we going to divvy up all this money? That's it. And they have disassociated the source of money, the cause of money, the understanding of people and their role in making money happen. And I think there is once you stop thinking this through, once you stop realizing that jobs aren't magic and have been here and will always be here, once you stop assuming that money just comes from these magical companies that just make it for just somehow, you have a much different viewpoint. Like the more you assume that things that are here now will always be here, the harder it is to reason, to start thinking like, how could this be different? Once we have a problem, how can we solve this problem? Because it's not a problem to most people. They just assume that it's a temporary glitch in the matrix. Just like, nope, this is just where it is. This is how the system is designed, and it's going to work this way forever.
Yeah, that's an issue we have.